Welcome everybody to my presentation, Migrating Your Legacy Metadata and CAD Data to the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. Let me start with a short introduction of Prostep, of the Prostep AG. Prostep was founded in 1993 with a vision to manage the product data, the digital product data for different disciplines. Something which you maybe know today under the acronym Product Lifecycle Management, but of course in 1993 nobody speak about product lifecycle management data. At this time it was the data exchange and how to provide the data to your partners or to your colleagues. Prostep was founded by the major automotive OEMs and the major automotive suppliers. They are still our shareholders. And now after more than 25 years, I think we can really say Prostep is 100%, no, it was too quick, is 100% PLM. So we have more than 200 PLM experts supporting you with your PLM processes and helping you to develop your PLM solutions. And we have more than 200 customers at 9 locations, not only in Germany, also in the US. And of course, we are partnering with all the major PLM vendors, and so of course also with Dassault Systèmes. So Prostep offers you a PLM strategy consulting, help you to create the PLM concepts and your solution architecture, and of course to do the PLM implementation. And we do this also with our own products. So we have one product called 3D PDF, which helps you to bring your metadata and your 3D data in PDF documents, so that you can work with PDF documents, you can work with digital documents. Then another product is a cloud service where you can upload CAD data, convert the CAD data to the format you like to have. And this cloud service is called Open Desk. And I think a lot of you also know Open DXM Global X, which is our secure data exchange solution used by many companies to do the secure data exchange between their partners and to transfer the CAD and PDM data in their projects. And last but not least, the solution I like to speak about today, our integration platform, Open PDM. Maybe you know Open PDM because Open PDM has now about more than 20 years experience in integrating PDM and PLM data. And I think most of you know Open PDM as the integration platform. So connecting PDM systems, connecting PLM systems and ERP systems. These are the solutions we call Open PDM Connect and Open PDM Integrate to run a daily synchronization between the different systems and to be sure that all of your colleagues have every time the right data in their systems and can work with the data. Of course, there's also a solution to do partner collaboration, Open PDM Collaborate. Here we do the collaboration across companies. So for example, in joint ventures, so that you export your data to a PLM system of a joint venture and work with your joint venture partner there on the system and then synchronize the result of this work back to your own system. But today, I like to focus on Open PDM Migrate because, as I said at the beginning, I like to show you how to migrate your metadata, how to migrate your CAD data to 3DEXPERIENCE. And for this, we have the solution Open PDM Migrate. But first, let us start with a PDM connectivity, because when you like to migrate data, of course, you must to have the connectivity, not only to 3DEXPERIENCE for your, also to your legacy systems. And we show the connectivity to Open PDM since the beginning of Open PDM with this puzzle picture, because I think it's really shows the flexibility and the possibilities you have with Open PDM. So in the middle, the big puzzle piece is the mapping component, the business management component, and you will see later on the next slides here, we have a special solution, which is then Open PDM Migrate, to migrate the data from one system to the other, to monitor this migrated data, and to be ensured that you migrate your data in a consistent way. But to do so, you need this connectivity, and the connectivity is shown in this picture around with a small puzzle pieces, our connectors. So each of these connectors speaks with the connected PLM system over the official APIs. And of course, we have a connector, as you see in the button, for 3DEXPERIENCE, as well as for Smart Team and Innovia V5. And we have connectors to all other systems, which gives us the possibility to migrate the data to 3DEXPERIENCE. And if you do not have a connector, there's no problem to build it in a project way. You will see later on, it's also possible to enrich the data, for example, out of LM data, out of SAP, so RLP systems and so on. So we also can combine these connectors within Open PDM Migrate. So before going into the architecture and give you some examples how these projects run in life, let's have a look to the user stories. We are covering with Open PDM Migrate 3 major user stories. The first is the initial load. Think about you're the migration manager. So your target is that you have as fast as possible the essential data in 3DEXPERIENCE, because you have to provide your colleagues some data they can work with 3DEXPERIENCE. You must have live data in 3DEXPERIENCE so that they can start to learn with 3DEXPERIENCE, to get started and to start the first project. So and often this is also the point to have a go live decision for 3DEXPERIENCE to really start. Then later on, there's a possibility you need more data, because maybe you have first migrated the first project or just one site. So you have to migrate the on-demand data as an engineer. So you want to push or pull, depending where you're working on, the data to the 3DEXPERIENCE platform to start there, for example, a new project. And last but not least, at the end of the project, you want to do the final big bang migration, the delta migration, because you have migrated a lot of things during your project, but some data is missing. So you want to move this rest of the data to 3DEXPERIENCE to finish this coexistence phase, and then still work with 3DEXPERIENCE in 100% mode, and to stop the old system. And these 3 user stories or use cases we are focusing with Open PDM. This is why we have created this solution, Open PDM Migrate, based on the Open PDM platform. You see in the upper level of the slide, the big bang migration. So you prepare migration, you do some rehearsal tests and so on, and then you migrate your data and the users in one step to 3DEXPERIENCE. Of course, it's possible, but it's not often really done as a real big bang migration. The most migration projects we are running are an incremental migration, or you do multiple big bang migrations, which means you, of course, also needs a migration solution, which helps you to bring the data from the old system to 3DEXPERIENCE, and of course, a part of the users to 3DEXPERIENCE. But the other users still remain for a while in the old system. And then you migrate step by step, project by project, side by side, depends on your migration strategy we developed together with you, the data to 3DEXPERIENCE so that you have less data in the old platform and get more and more data in the 3DEXPERIENCE platform and work more and more on the 3DEXPERIENCE platform with your live data. And this is what we call incremental migration. So a smooth migration, and you help your colleagues to get familiar with 3DEXPERIENCE and to work with 3DEXPERIENCE. Another experience we have done in our migration projects over the last years, because Open PDM Migrate is not a new solution, we run migration projects with Open PDM more than 10 years, is we must to help your colleagues to work with a new solution, to work with 3DEXPERIENCE. And our proposal is always there that we have a technical solution team which develops together with you the technical migration solution based on Open PDM Migrate. Do all these specification tasks like mapping the data, developing the processes, run batch tests, so small tests to verify the data, and run these rehearsal cycles that you really ensure from the day one that the data is in a consistent shape in 3DEXPERIENCE. So this is the task of the technical solution team shown here on the slide in these brown fields. The other thing we always propose, and we had really good experience by bringing a migration office in place. So the migration office is a team which works closely with the technical solution team and with you as the owner of 3DEXPERIENCE, and help you to train your users, help to understand the data in 3DEXPERIENCE, because of course the data looks different in your old system and then in 3DEXPERIENCE, and you have to teach and to learn them. And last but not least, of course, you need a team who runs the migration, so who runs, for example, the migration on demand, so that you can plan your migration and you can be sure that when a new project starts, the data is migrated to 3DEXPERIENCE and you can start on with this data on 3DEXPERIENce. So this is the task of the migration office. So coming back to the architecture and how these Open PDM Migrate solution looks like, and I think you're not surprised that we also support an ETL process, so an extract, transform, translate, load process. As I already said, for the extract and the load to 3DEXPERIENCE, we use our proven Open PDM connectors. So we have connectors to, for example, to 3DEXPERIENCE, supporting all the official 3DEXPERIENCE APIs, so that we really can import the data in a consistent way to 3DEXPERIENCE. And to your source system, we also have the connectors, or we will develop connectors in a project way. The transform way is in Open PDM Migrate a little bit different to the integrate way, because it's a totally different task to integrate data than to migrate the data. And here, for example, Open PDM Migrate holds two different databases, staging databases, which are used to for the migration of the data. So we export the data from your source system to the first staging database. And then we perform all the mapping logic between these two databases, because we are handling not only 100 parts or something else, we are handling thousands of parts, millions of parts, and we have to test it. We have to report which quality all this data has and so on. And this can be perfectly done within these two object databases, where we do these tasks. And of course, it's also possible to work on the CAD data. It's not only that you move the CAD data from one native CAD format and it still remains in 3DEXPERIENCE. It's of course possible to transform the CAD format to CATIA v5, v6, depends on the needs. And last but not least, it's always ensured that the data alignment between your metadata and your CAD data is ensured so that you have consistent data inside of 3DEXPERIENCE. So when we go to an architecture, then the typical architecture of Open PDM Migrate looks like the architecture you maybe know from Open PDM Integrate. So we have the legacy system on the left side and 3DEXPERIENCE as a target system on the right side. We place the already mentioned connectors outside of the system. So we do not deploy anything inside of the systems, but we deploy the connectors very close to the system to have a good performance while importing or exporting the data. And the big puzzle piece in the middle is, as I already mentioned, the transform, the Open PDM Migrate section with all the monitoring, all the process to test and to perform the migration itself. In many of our migration projects, there's not only the need to transfer the data from one system to 3DEXPERIENCE, there's also the need to enrich the data, because maybe in the old system, some information of SAP is missing because you do not have used, you do not use to work with this data in your old system, but you need it in the future in 3DEXPERIENCE. And for this, it's possible to enrich the data, for example, out of SAP, so that we process while mapping the data. SAP query some information about the materials and then bring everything in a consistent way to 3DEXPERIENCE. So this is a typical example how the architecture looks like. And I want to give you now some examples, some real project examples, because the practical and the real projects are mostly more interesting than the theoretic architecture. So the first example is Magna Powertrain. Here we run a migration from several ARIS instances to one single 3DEXPERIENCE instance, and the CAD data is managed here in the Designer Central. So let's say in the old way, how the CAD data is managed in 3DEXPERIENCE. The target is to manage, to migrate all the engineering data out of these old ARIS instances. These ARIS instances come out of an acquirement of Magna of GETRAG, and now in the future, Magna likes to work only with 3DEXPERIENCE with this data. The migration scope is that we have to migrate more than 2 terabytes of native CAD data and the corresponding metadata, including all drawings, parts, and embedded components, of course. And yeah, of course, we have to maintain the CAD and drawing associativity. We resolve the BOM in our solution in a different way. So from ARIS as an S-dot resolution, we now change it to the latest build in 3DEXPERIENCE. During the migration process, we rename all CAD file to the Magna conform CAD file naming. And of course, we also switch the numbering schema to the Magna numbering schema. So something we really heal the data on the migration. And last but not least, as I've shown on the slide before, it is again the case that data from SAP is needed, and we have to enrich the data during the migration process. The next project I like to show you is running at Hallmark. This time, the CATIA data at Hallmark is managing with the CATIA Power BI. So CATIA v5 data in the Power BI mode of 3DEXPERIENCE. And the source system is Enovia v5, or also known as Enovia as LCA. We are using for this migration the out-of-the-box tools to export the data out of LCA and to import the data with the XPDM interface to 3DEXPERIENCE. But we enrich these processes with the Open PDM management of the data so that we can run parallel processes, do load balancing and so on, and have an enhanced monitoring in the middle so that we and Hallmark always can see which data was already migrated or which data must be migrated for the next projects. And in the same way as at Magna, we do the migration consulting at Hallmark too. So we define the migration strategy together with the Hallmark team, develops the solution, and then we execute the migration. So these were two examples about how to run Open PDM migrations to 3DEXPERIENCE. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.